Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Getting Started with Jira and just Getting Started with Jira. Today, we're going to be covering Jira and Confluence. I know it's a little bit odd because we're getting started with Jira, but I'm going to show you, it's going to be centered and focused on Jira, but I'm going to show you some of the cool integrations that Jira has with Confluence because Atlassian makes a lot of marketing changes, if you will. And Confluence and Jira share a lot. They're sharing so much that everything in Jira is now becoming a space, just like they are in Confluence. And so there's a lot of overlaps that are happening behind the two tools, and they're part of the overall teamwork collection, which is Jira, Confluence, and Loom. And so these three tools are really designed to have a lot of synergies together. And so I figured, what better way than to talk about how you can use Jira and Confluence as you're getting started with Jira, just kind of show you some of the cooler features. As we are going to get started here, again, welcome. This is our Jira and Confluence together. Let's see, we got a couple people in the room. We have also the Jira guy, the combo breaker. And so hopefully I figured out what happened with Bevy. I've been working with the Bevy support team. And oh boy, do critical thinking skills are very important in today's modern society. Bevy team doesn't have set skills. But essentially what happened was I set up the events like a week ago, and I made them as like Bevy internal events. And because I didn't have the link, so not to bore you all with all the details, but when you make a Bevy event, you have the option to like use the Zoom that is built into Bevy, or you can use YouTube like I do. And so you have to make a selection in your Bevy event. And I made a new event, not using a template, which is usually not what I do. Usually I take an existing event and I make a new one. But because Bevy doesn't have a uncancel feature, I had to make new events. And again, another Bevy limitation that I wish they fixed. But essentially, long story short, I switched it from internal to external so I can use YouTube. Over the weekend, I made all the external links, and Bevy doesn't know what to do with life. So that's what happened here. And so that's why that's why I had to send an email to everybody and tell them like, hey, here's how to join the live stream. You want to click on this video and get here directly. So good morning. Also the Jira guy. How are you going to mess with me today? Well, we'll see. I'm sure you're going to have lots of opportunities to mess with me. Hello, Braulio, and hello, Cyburn. So good morning. Good morning to everybody. And we also have Raju. Okay, man, I'm not trying to mess up your all names, but YouTube handles are interesting sometimes. Okay, so a couple disclaimers. Session is being recorded, will be available live on this YouTube channel. Slides are not going to be available. I don't have a whole lot in the slides, but if you do subscribe to the channel, you hit that bell notification, you're going to know what's going on. I do have, this is session number 2 out of 12. So we will have 10 more sessions over the next couple of weeks. And so make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss out, especially when Bevy doesn't work. You want to make sure you're still able to attend these sessions. Say hello in the chat. We already have a few people saying hello. So we have Dave here from, and tell me where you're from. So we have Dave, we have Stefan. And so let me know in the chat, say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from, how many years of experience you have. Let me know if you use Confluence. Are you a Confluence user? I'm always curious to see, are you just Team Jira, or do you not discriminate and we use all the different tools? So definitely use a chat. And at any point, this is an interactive session, so this is live. So this is why we do this. We allow you to ask questions. So ask questions at any point. I have a monitor in the chat here. We have a little chat ranking thing game going on too from YouTube. So top 3 like commenters are going to get like a special badge that YouTube gives you. And so definitely take care of that. And so, yeah, so we definitely have people. We have Hari from India, 18 years of experience as a project manager using Jira and Confluence regularly. So cool. So hopefully I can teach you a couple things here. Also become a member. YouTube allows me to have memberships tiers. And so if you want early access to videos and or member only videos, definitely consider becoming a member. Super chats are also available, which is basically a donation. And then stick around because we're going to have an exclusive offer for you at the end. Now, some exciting news in case you've missed it. I've launched a school community with Josh Golosinski. And this is really exciting. So I am putting like everything, all the big stuff in this new paid school community. And so if you're interested in joining our community, our school community, this is a curated invite only type of community. sending you an invite right now. But it's really cool. It's really exciting. We have a weekly Q&A. We have a bunch of special trainings just for this. If you attended or didn't attend Builder Summit, this is my 3-day completely free event that I hosted in Long Beach, California. But if you missed it, and or you want to pick a copy of the Big Book of Atlassian and or want to watch all the sessions, they're all available on the school community there. So if you want to go through and see a bunch of awesome content that is exclusive for just our school members, definitely check that out. All right. So with that said, a little bit about me. I have the ACP 120, 620, 520. We're currently working on the 420. I have my voucher here to take the 420. We just wrapped up our 420 series over on the Jira Life. Make sure you check out the Jira Life and subscribe over there. Ronnie, my co-host, is in the chat here. So I'll put a link to my link tree and just scroll down. You'll find the Jira Life on there. But yeah, if you're looking for ACP 420 or any of the study sessions, we've done the 120, 620, 520, and 420. And so if you're looking to study and or just kind of learn some of the material, definitely check out our series there. I do have a couple of engineering degrees. I have a bachelor's in computer engineering, a master's in systems engineering, a few cybersecurity degrees. I'm mainly a YouTuber. That's literally all I do all day is make YouTube videos. I have a lot of YouTube channels. I have this one, A-Tech Tech Tutorials. If you haven't subscribed, now would be a good time to subscribe. At the Jira Life, which we just talked about, which is the place where you go to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, all things Atlassian. We interview Atlassians. We interview members of the community. We interview partners and solution and marketplace partners. So we always have a lot of good time. We debate topics. We talk about all the news. And so if you're looking for something awesome in a free community, join the Jira Life. I also have a DevOps podcast called the DevOps Roundup. So if you're interested in DevOps, right, if you're more than just a project manager, definitely check that one out. And again, the link tree is in the chat here, so you can see all the different things that I got going on, because I could probably spend an hour just talking about all the different things I got going on. All right, so what are we going to be learning today? So again, we're going to be knee deep into Jira, but we're also going to bleed over to Confluence. But we're going to bleed over just enough to show you a very big, bold prediction that I have. And I predict that Confluence is going to go away, and it's all just going to be Jira. I firmly believe, based on what I'm seeing, the trends from Atlassian, that Jira and Confluence are going to be merged into one. And I'm going to give you some evidence to show and support my suspicion here. And so I'm going to, out of all the live trainings that I've done, we're actually going to cover quite a bit here, although each one of these are very quick. They're only a couple minutes long each. But we're going to cover how to connect Jira with Confluence, how to do your retrospectives in Confluence, how to add Confluence pages to your Jira work items, how to add Confluence whiteboards to your Jira work items, how to add Jira work items to a Confluence page. So we're going to go in reverse. And then we're going to how to add Jira work items to a whiteboard. And this is my favorite feature, so stick around for that one. And then we'll talk about how to add a Jira plan to your Confluence, and then how to add your Jira gadgets to Confluence. So lots of exciting stuff. And let's get into it. So we'll come back to our exclusive offers here at the end. But let's go into Jira. We're going to actually keep Jira and Confluence open today. And we're going to get started. Give me a +1, folks, in the chat. Are you ready to get started? We are going to have a lot of fun here. All right. So give me a +1 if you are excited. So the first thing you want to do is you want to connect Jira with Confluence, right? This is going to be a critical first step, although it's not as critical as it used to be, but it's a pretty critical first step, all right? And so the first thing you want to do is you want to connect your Confluence space with a Jira space. And so you need to go into a space. And you might have a little bit of a chicken and egg situation, because in order to connect the Jira space with the Confluence space, will both need to exist. So if I had to do like a step 0, that would be make sure you have a Confluence space and a Jira space that you intend to connect together. In my particular case, I'm just going to take whatever's in here. I don't particularly care, right? I have spaces in Confluence, check. I have spaces in Jira, check. And I'm just going to randomly connect one. But you definitely want to be way more mindful and way more prescriptive here. You want to make sure you have the appropriate Confluence space connected to the appropriate Jira space. Okay. For my demonstration purposes, I don't really care, but you definitely are going to care. All right. So my little disclaimer, that's step 0. Step 1 is connecting them together. Okay. And so again, go to Jira. You're going to go to your space of choice, right? And you're going to look for your space settings. I believe that's where we want to go. And so space settings, you're going to hover over your space name over here and click on the 3 dots for your action button, and then go to space settings. And then we're going to have, I might have done this incorrectly. Nope, I definitely did this incorrectly. We don't want to go here. This is what happens when you don't script your videos. We want to click on more. Okay. We want to click on more. Okay. Forget the space settings. We're not doing space settings. We want to click on more, and we want to ultimately find pages. Now, you may not need to click on more. It all depends on what you got going on across the top of your Jira navigation, and it might be farther to the left, farther to the right. Thank you, Atlassian, for allowing us to customize our UI, which is not a feature I wanted, but feature that we got. But you're going to click on pages. Once you click on pages, that's where you're going to see the connect to Confluence button. Okay, and as you can see, we have two different buttons that do the exact same thing. And so we're going to just click one, pick your favorite one. This one has a pretty picture, this one doesn't. So just pick whatever you want. And we're going to click on connect to Confluence. And this is where we're going to now be prompted to connect to a Confluence space. And so rule of thumb here is you're probably going to need to have some Jira administrative rights. So if you can't see this, then you probably don't have the correct rights. I would assume that at a minimum, you might need to be a project admin, but it's really hard to tell because I always have all the permissions. But it's always safe to assume you just need admin rights whenever you got to get two tools to talk to each other. Once they're connected, though, it should work flawlessly. But again, it's really just hard for me to test because I always have all the permissions. But anyways, what we're going to do here is we're going to pick a space, and I'm just going to pick marketing because, again, I'm just going to randomly pick one. If for whatever reason you hadn't done step 0 and you wanted to create a space now, this would be an opportunity for you to create a new space. But you can always link to an existing space, or you can even link to a specific page, which I would not recommend. I would always recommend you go to the specific space. So once you pick your space, simply click on connect. And that is going to do it for our team, or for step 1. And that's going to be to connect these two spaces together. Now, what's really interesting, what's really fun about this is that you got to know a couple of things. One, you can only connect to one space, right? But as I'm going to show you a little bit later, you can technically talk to anything in Confluence, but you'll see that in the demos here in a little bit. But the connection, the true connection under pages, is going to be with one and only one space. So if you needed to change space for whatever reason, you can go to a different space, but you can't have both, right? So you can only have one space, right? Now, once you do connect to a space, you basically brought Confluence, that space specifically, brought it into your Jira. And so I can expand these pages and I can see, right? So I can see the entire page tree. So if I were to go to Confluence and I were to go to my legal space, you're going to see that on the left-hand side, we have basically the same information. So we have release readiness here, and we have release readiness here. So our entire tree structure is on the left-hand side or the left-hand side of Confluence is now inside of Jira. And so I can click on any particular page, and you can see that without leaving Jira, I am still very much inside of Jira. I can see the space page. I can click the edit button and then edit the page without leaving Jira. And so I can just come in here and do a quick update if this thing actually let me click somewhere. Why aren't you letting me click? Okay. In theory, it should work. You can do your update. It'll save your page. But as you can see, I never had to leave Confluence. I can add a comment to things, and I can share this particular page with anybody that I want. And I have not left Jira at all. As you can see, Jira is still in the background. I'm still inside of Jira up here in the URL, but I'm bringing in that experience of Confluence into Jira, which I think is really cool. On the right-hand side, I can add comments, right? So I can add more comments here. I can do some details, right? So figure, again, this is all information. This is all information that you can see, again, in the metadata, if you will, of Confluence. And then we have the ability to listen. So you can actually have AI like read the stuff to you. And you can also embed Loom videos. So if you wanted to embed some Loom videos, you can do that as well. So this is kind of cool. And get feedback back to Atlassian. But yeah, so basically that Confluence experience inside of Jira by simply connecting. Now that's cool, right? Because you can see everything in Confluence. You can just click on any page and you'll see that page. But I can also create pages. So as you can see over here on the right-hand side, I can create a blank page. And so if I just wanted a brand new page, demo how Jira and Confluence work together, I can do this. I can then hit publish. Again, I'm in Jira. I have not left Jira at all, right? I just publish my page. I can go into Confluence. I just left, and I'm going to refresh Confluence. And over here on the left-hand side, we should see a new page on how to demo Jira and Confluence. And here it is. So inside of Confluence, just like that, it went over and I was able to create a page. And again, the experience between Jira and Confluence, very, very tightly integrated. But that's cool, but it's more of a gimmick, I think, than anything else, because what happens here, right? What I've effectively demonstrated is that Jira and Confluence can talk to each other, but there's no real purpose. Like, why do you want Jira and Confluence to talk to each other? Well, that's what we're going to get into next, because most of the time, you're not generically just making information, right? Most of the time, if your intent is to create information like a how-to page or something like that, you're probably going to go to Confluence and do it there. But if your intent is to like document a Jira work item, an issue with something that you got going on in Confluence, then your intention is much more intentional. And so I'm going to show you how that works, because that's usually the use case that I would have as a member of the team. Is I have a work item, I have like a bug or something that's assigned to me, and I need to document. I need to go do something in the Confluence side. So I'm going to show you what that looks like next. Okay. Now in the chat though, do let me know if you have any questions on anything we've covered. And just to recap, we've covered we've covered step 0, which was make sure you have a space in Jira and a space in Confluence so that you can do the connection. And then we basically went to pages under a specific space. And then we were able to essentially link one space to one space, which I don't know why Atlassian called them the same, but that's all we've done. Okay, so we've linked a Confluence space with a Jira space. And then I show you some cool functionality. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to go into a work item. So whether you're in your backlog, in your active sprint, as long as you get to a work item, it doesn't matter how you do it. You need to get to an epic or a story or a task or whatever you want. And then what I'm going to do to make this easier on your eyes, I'm just going to click on that story and make it bigger so you can see what I'm doing here in full screen. Okay. We have a question. How do you see Jira and Confluence merging into one? I'm going to show you. Okay. I'm going to show you right now, Dave. I'm going to blow your mind. For one, we have the renaming of stuff, right? So instead of just being a project and a space, they're both now called spaces. But this is why I'm about to show you why I think these are going to merge very, very quickly here. Okay. And Dave, is a space another name for a project? So projects in Jira used to exist up until like 2 months ago, right? So 2 months ago, Atlassian decided to change the word projects that used to live only inside of Jira, and then renamed it to spaces that match and coincide with the spaces or the spacing nomenclature that used to exist and still exists in Confluence. And so that was one of the big changes, Dave. But how do I see these merging into one? So check this part out. This is going to be kind of cool and very interesting, right? And so I'm inside of a Jira work item, okay? I'm inside of Jira. I'm inside of a story. This is my investigate scalability issue when user volume exceeds to 20,000. Now I'm going to click on the plus button here. And you can see that I have the options to create a subtask, link a work item, right? These are all Jira stuff. We're not worrying about that. Okay. We're going to go down to the bottom. This bottom section is a page. Now, this does coincide with the page in Confluence. And so when I click on page, I have two options. I can link an existing page. So that means that the page is already in Confluence, or I can create a new page. And so if I click on create a new page, you're going to see that Confluence just came into Jira. Okay. I have a sidebar here that I don't think I might be able to zoom out to make it a little bit bigger. Probably not. All right, Atlassian, why do you do this to me? Okay. Well, anyways, you can see that I have Confluence is on the right-hand side, and I can basically create a page. And so I can be in my space that we linked earlier. And it's asking me to pick a template. So I can pick one of the templates, or I can just pick a blank temp. I don't think you have to pick a template. So let me see if I can just get into the template without picking a template. Yeah, here we go. I'm gonna click this little X. And so in here, again, this view is very tiny. And last thing, you should let me scroll these things around. Let me see if I can, let me hide this one. Nope, that doesn't help at all. That doesn't help. Okay, Atlassian, why would you not let me resize my borders here so I can see this better? Anyways, I'm in Jira. Confluence just came into Jira without ever having to leave Jira at all. I'm going to give this a title, a new page from my story. And then down here, I'm going to put Here's my investigation. Okay, I'm going to hit publish. Again, I have not left Jira at all whatsoever, and I just published a page from within Jira over to Confluence, but very different, right? Very, very different than what I just did a few moments ago when I was in the generic pages area, because I'm inside the Jira work item. I can see my assignee. I can see the description. I can see the title. I can see my linked work items. I can see the comments and the history. I can see everything inside of Jira while I'm also in Confluence making Confluence. As you can see, the two have merged. The experience is like if you're just extending the power of Jira. You don't feel like you left and went into Confluence to do this. And so that, my friend David, is why I feel that these are going to merge into one, because the experience is becoming very, very much synergized, right? Like you, to the naked eye, you don't know. You just created a page. But unless you know that pages are Confluence, right? That they're a Confluence thing, you wouldn't know. You just created a page magically, right? And so that's why I see one day Atlassian just saying like, screw this whole Confluence thing. We're just going to have pages and whiteboards inside of Jira and bring those capabilities. Again, my bold prediction, but let me know in the chat if you think I'm right or if I'm wrong. As Ron or as Lena says here, hit the thumbs up on YouTube if you're getting value. So make sure you hit that like. And if you're watching this and you are enjoying this training, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. How do we navigate from the story to this page? So you don't really navigate because you're in a story and all you do is click the plus button. That's going to add things to it. And then we have the page and the whiteboard. And again, we're going to be covering these in more detail over the next few minutes here. So Narendra, hopefully that answers your question. That's how we get to that. Tushar says, please click on the two diagonal arrows on the top corner. Oh, but that will give me full screen. So this is cool, but this pops it out. And I didn't want to necessarily show it to you this way. I wanted to emphasize the fact that in the Jira issue view, I have Confluence's view. And I just wanted to move this left and right just to kind of set it up more 50-50. But the intention of me bringing this up, right, was to show you that within the Jira item, I have the Confluence experience without having to leave Jira. So yeah, this is a little pop-up, but this is cool, but this still kind of makes me feel like, okay, I'm still in Jira, but I've lost my Jira context, right? Like I don't have the information on the story at all. But in this view, when I go to this view over here, I do have it, right? And so this is what I was trying to highlight and why I was trying to prove that that these two tools are merging together. We don't see this option in our work. So Narendra, one thing that you should know is that this is Confluence and Jira Cloud. So it is possible that you're maybe in the data center. So Narendra, please confirm whether you're on the data center version of Jira and Confluence or if you're in the cloud version. What I'm demonstrating is a cloud feature. And then the other thing is you need to have Confluence, because if you don't have Confluence, then Jira doesn't necessarily have this integration, because you need to buy Confluence. Confluence is a separate product that you buy today, unless if you're a newer customer of Atlassian, then you can buy the Teamwork Collection, which comes bundled for one price with Confluence. So you might just not have. I'm not sure what would cause it. But yeah, if you have both, then you should be able to click the plus button. I would recommend that you try the first step that I did, which was to go to the space, right? To go to inside of Jira, go to your like board and go to the pages and make sure that that's linked. I don't know if that's a requirement. I don't think it is, but just link it as a first step in case it's an actual requirement. Okay, folks. So moving along, I'm just going to go back to Confluence. I'm going to refresh my Confluence page, and you're going to see that I have a new page from my story, right? So far we've been able to create a page, and then we're just going to grab this like legal database here, and let's not do a database. Let's go to this release readiness. I'm going to go back to my story, and this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to go full screen here for this. And this time what I'm doing is I'm going to click the same pages button, but I'm going to link a page. And what this does is it basically allows me to link to any page. And so I can actually filter by any space. So this is why I don't think it's a requirement that you have to, do the pages and link to a specific Confluence space, because as you can see, I can literally talk to anywhere, right? So I can bring any information back or link any information. It does not have to be from the same space that we've talked or that we've linked in the past. And when I click on it, as you can see over here, it opens up the full page inside of Jira without me again having to leave Jira. So this is a pretty cool feature. And you can also create another page here. So this is the second way to create a page. is again by simply clicking the link. And when you link, in case you can't find the page, then Jira is going to give you the option to create a page a second time, right? So you have two opportunities to create new pages, and so it doesn't matter whether you click on create a page or link a page, both are going to allow you to create a page. But the linking basically allows you to link to any existing page. All right, so Rajesh Rini says, is there a way to see the Confluence tree structure within Jira work items in case you want to update the existing Confluence page? I would say, I think so. So I think back over here, if you, oops, come on, Jira, stop doing the ads. If you go back to your board and you go to that pages section, this is the tree structure here. And so you can see all of your pages here. You can add a child page. You can share this page. You can edit this particular page. I don't think you can reorder them. I think that would be something you have to do inside of Confluence, but you can definitely see your tree structure here inside of the pages section. But again, to get to this step, you do need to connect Jira, a Confluence space with the Jira space. The field might be hidden. Another thing that we're going to check, we're going to go a little off script here. We're going to go to our space settings and we're going to go to features. And I'm going to see if there's a feature. This feature section changes a lot from time to time. Yeah, so I would check and make sure that this is on. Make sure that your pages is turned on. It might be turned off, Narendra. So check and make sure that this is turned on, and hopefully maybe that'll fix it. But definitely double check this one here. Okay, folks, so I showed you how to create pages, and that's cool, but I'm going to show you one of my more favorite features. And actually, I already skipped a step that I wanted to make sure I go back to as well. But in the same work item that we've been working out of, so I'm going to make it big again just to kind of not have this compressed view for you all. When we click on the plus button, we also have the option to do a whiteboard. Now, in case you haven't done a whiteboard before, in the cloud, we have this concept of whiteboards. And this is one of my favorite things. But whiteboards inside of Confluence essentially is like Miro. If you've ever used Miro, it's like the same thing, right? And so a visual for this story, we got to give it a title. We got to pick a space. I'm just going to put it in my personal space. I'm going to click on create. And on the right-hand side, I now have a visual for my whiteboard. And so again, very hard to see here. So this case, I will expand it. But as you can see, just to drive the point home, just to drive the point home, we don't have to leave Jira to go do this. And it's in the right-hand side. But I now have the ability to draw my shapes, right? I can put two shapes together. I can put a square and a circle. I can link them together. And I can start doing this very informational, right? Info 1, info 2, right? And I can link things together. I can add a little bit more text. This class is not about Confluence whiteboards, but if you're interested in Confluence whiteboard training, I do believe my good friend Robert Heen does these. But if you want me to teach you one, let me know. We can always do a Confluence whiteboard training, but whiteboard, okay? As you can see, I can draw things, and it's pretty cool. It's very powerful, but I'm inside of Jira. And when I close this, there's no saving, there's no publishing. Whiteboards just exist, and they just save automatically. Yeah, it's now part of my Confluence content within the Jira work item. I can always click on it. It'll pull it back up. I can go to Confluence. I can do a refresh. Well, actually, I got to go to the right space this time. I can go to my space, and as you can see here, I have a visual for the story. And here's the drawing that I did inside of, I actually made like a little face here without even trying to do a face. We're just make a circle here. Ronnie, take a screenshot of that and make that a new meme that we make. That looks like a little meme that we should be sharing around the Atlassian ecosystem. Okay, so that's that integration, right? But like all good things, right? If you have an existing whiteboard that you want to link, you can just simply link to a whiteboard. You go find it. I don't know if I have one, right? But you can go basically find one. This is going to be a little trickier because I don't know that I have one that exists, right? But you would essentially go and find a whiteboard that does exist, and then you can link it and bring it back into Jira, and it'll look just like this. But again, the only difference is you're linking an existing whiteboard that you've already been working out of versus like creating a brand new one. Okay, so that, my friends, is most of the stuff I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you one more thing inside of Jira, and then if I remember correctly, we're going to go over to Confluence for the rest of this training for the last 30 minutes. So let me show you that one more thing. So inside of Jira, if you are in a board and you have an active sprint, there's a moment in life when you're going to complete your sprint. So this is really just for Scrum teams. If you're a Scrum team, this is really going to apply to you the most. But if you are using Jira in the traditional sense with Scrum and you have your sprints, at one point in your life, you got to complete your sprint. And when you complete your sprint, you will then be able to create a retrospective for this sprint. Okay. And this right here is a checkbox. This is something that's optional. You can opt out of it, but you're opted in by default. But when you hit complete sprint here, this is then going to take you to the next step, which is going to prompt you to either create a whiteboard. So you got to pick a space. So just do my space here. But you cannot create a whiteboard or a Confluence page. And so it's up to you. Traditionally, if you've been around the Jira world like I have, page retrospectives, this is used to be like the only integration you had with the Confluence back in the day was just the retrospective. But now you can also do a whiteboard retrospective, which I actually like way, way, way more because it's a lot more visual. So we're just going to click on create. And this, again, is just going to create our retrospective. And we can now have a retrospective. The only difference between the whiteboard I did earlier and this one is when I zoom in, there's like a template, right? So I can just start dropping in what went well, attendees subscribed to my channel, right? What could be better? More people need to sign up to school, right? And so you just do things like this, and you just have your little retrospective. And then when you're done, it's obviously inside of your Confluence, but you can save it, right? You can find you can save and copy this one. You can just close it out, but essentially you now have a retrospective that exists. And again, it's not in any particular work item because we didn't link it that way, but it's inside of your Confluence. I can always come back into Confluence, and I should have a retrospective section now over here. I don't, apparently not, doesn't do it that anymore, but I have it right here. And here's our retrospective that we had with my subscribe to the channel and sign up for school, right? So as you can see, that integration is pretty cool. So those are the ways that Jira integrates with Confluence. But now what we're going to do for the second half of this training is we're going to go to Confluence. I'm going to show you the really cool way that you can bring Jira into Confluence, because there's some really interesting things that you can do on that side of the house. So before we get that far, let me answer some questions here and see what we got going on. Can I choose Confluence pages, customs from Jira? Can I choose Confluence page templates? Maybe. I don't have a Confluence page template to demo, but I do know that when I was clicking on the plus button here, right? So when I go to create a new page, when I click on page, create page, the first thing that popped up was templates. So I would assume there's a my templates here. So I would assume it doesn't. No, embedded custom does not support custom and save templates. So yeah, you are correct. It does not work yet. I don't know why they would have this in Atlassian, like maybe get rid of this button. But the global ones you'll be able to use apparently, according to Rodney. But yeah, this is not a feature that's still yet supported. I don't know why it wouldn't be supported. It's a silly feature to not have supported, but yeah, you saw it here first, folks. Okay, so we're gonna delete the draft. We're gonna go back into Confluence, and we're gonna have some fun in Confluence. So inside of Confluence, I'm gonna start easy. I'm gonna ease your way in. We're just gonna create a page, right? Demo Connie to Jira, and yeah, Connie is the internal code word for Confluence internally. I was in a meeting with a bunch of Atlassians not too long ago, and they kept talking about Connie, and I thought it was an employee because I actually do know a Connie at Atlassian, but apparently it wasn't Connie at Atlassian, it was Confluence. And so, fun little fact. This is some information about some requirements, okay? And so when you're here in Confluence, right, because you can see in the top left corner that I am inside of Confluence, let's just say that I want to create a Jira work item. Well, we have our macro that we can do. So we can type in /Jira. Oops, I want to be in the right tool. /Jira. And this is going to give us a couple of different Jira options. And we're going to cover some of them, not all of them in this training. But the one I want you to focus on is create a Jira work item. So we can click on create a new work item. And you're going to pick your site. You're going to pick your space. You're going to pick your work type. And then you're going to give it a title. Like, this is my story for this demo. Any other fields that are required, you're going to see them here, and then you can click on create. So anything that's in your screen is going to show up. But as you can see here, I now have my work item. Okay. Now this link, if you've used Jira and Confluence for the longest time, like this is not a new feature, but smart links are a newer feature in the cloud. So what I like about this is that you can have this link here, right? So when I hit publish, I'm going to publish this page real quick. All right. When you hit publish, this is basically going to show you the Jira work item, right? This is going to show you the Jira work item and its status. So as the status updates inside of Jira, this is always going to be updated. Okay. Now, again, not new. I'm not doing anything revolutionary here. What is kind of interesting though is you can set it up as a URL. So if you don't want to see the status, you can change that up. But the one that I want you to look at is this smart concept of a smart link, and you can do an embed, which means that in the Confluence Cloud, you can actually embed the entire story. So you see all of the story and you can interact with it the way you would interact inside of Jira. So again, the lines blur here quite a bit, folks, right? Like you kind of don't know what's what. If you're new to the tool, like you'd be like, what the hell? Why are you so excited about this? Right? Because these lines are blurring so much, right? Between Jira, what is Jira and what is Confluence. And so they're like one and the same, in my opinion, going back to my original statement of how these tools are going to become one tool one day. Right. And so again, we can do this, but if you don't want to see it, because obviously it takes up a lot of space, you can set it as a little card, right? And so you can look at it this way. But most people, most of the time, just have it like this. Okay. And so that's one way to embed your Jira item, and you were able to create it. But what happens if you already have a Jira work item, right? What happens if you have a story that you created in Jira, but you just now want to reference it over here? Well, you do the same thing with Jira. And this time, instead of creating, we're going to do Jira work items. And now we can search for it, right? So we have JQL built in. So I can go look at a specific project. I can go look at a specific work type. What do I have here? Question marks, ask a question. Nope, that was not the work issue type. Let me see if there's another one with questions. Okay, for oh boy. This is what I have. Let's try. It's going to be one of these. One of these is going to be the right one. There we go. It's probably the last one. Legal. Yep. Okay. So we're going to do one of these, and maybe we want, well, the status is all to do, right? But I can insert all 5 work items. So when I click on insert, the entire table gets inserted in. And similar to what we had before, these are smart links. So we can actually look at it and scroll around, and we can click into it and we can edit, right? And we can assign it to somebody. And so you have a lot of power, right? You can do a lot of organization, right? You can do a lot of strategic stuff inside of Confluence, where it's a much more visual world, and manipulate Jira data. So you have the ability, because these are smart links, you can change statuses, you can change priorities, you can do all this work inside of Confluence without having to say, hold up, wait a minute, everybody pause the meeting, I got to go to update Jira. Like, no, that's a thing of the past. You can just come in here and do all the updates live. And so you want to bring your data in and then reference it. And so you can do that. If you wanted to bring in a specific, just one line item, for now, I do the Jira legacy, and the Jira legacy allows you to search like the actual key. Although I think with the old one, let me try with the old one. CLC, let me try something real quick, folks. /Jira, let's go to this newer one. I'm actually going to type in CLSD-3 search. Yep, that'll bring in just the one, and I can just bring in that one line item. Okay, so you don't have to bring in a whole filter result. You can just bring in one specific line item. Although I don't like this view. I don't like that it shows it all big. So I'm going to inline it again. And it used to be, so what I'm trying to do is the legacy, but I just don't know how long legacy is going to last. But if I did the same thing that I just did right now, and I brought this one in, you can see that it imports it in as the way I did it when I created it. So at last, and if you're watching, I'd like to see this the same way this looks. So something's not quite working well with your new one, but I'm afraid of the second one, because I would suspect that at some point it's going to go away, because it's called legacy. And that's just, code words for Atlassian saying we're going to get rid of this functionality at some point. So yeah. All right, so let's go back. Lucas says, how did you do that again to show the whole ticket content? In the work item itself, there's different views. And so you can click on embed, and that's going to activate the smart link, which shows you the entire content. So hopefully that answered your question, Lucas. And then we have another question. Did we establish a connection between Jira and Confluence? And not in this case. So when you're inside of Confluence, you don't have to establish any connection. The connection is established on the Jira side, but I think it's optional. I don't think you have to do it. You only need it if you want to see like the whole tree structure of a specific space inside of Jira. But if that's not a requirement for you, then you don't have to worry about it. Okay, now I'm going to move on to my absolute favorite feature. This is my favorite feature of all time. This is like my favorite thing in the world. I'm going to show you some really cool things. I'm going to show you two cool things that these blow my mind. I think these are such great game changers. And if you haven't used these, like, be ready to be blown away. Okay. Jira is not a very visual tool. Confluence to a certain degree is not a very visual tool, but it's more visual than Jira. But what I mean by visual, right, it's like this is visual, right? We have a little meme that I know Ronnie's going to turn into a meme here real soon as we blowing up LinkedIn. But this is a meme, okay? And maybe we call it art with Confluence, Jira, Ronnie. Okay. But what's really cool is down here, we have the ability to import from Jira. And so I can click on this button here and I can bring in one specific work item. And as you can see, it is now an item that is in my view. And that old sticky that I had from earlier, I can link to them. I can link these together. I can draw around them, right? I can put stickers on them. I can put little stamps of like, yeah, this is awesome. But I can interact with my Jira story inside of Confluence, inside of the whiteboards. And this is really powerful, right? Because I can see the status. I can change the status of things. I can see the priority, and I can always open it back up inside of Jira and go to Jira itself and look at the thing over there. But more importantly, I can update the status, right? But this is a very powerful view because I can then import another one. I can import, oops, I don't want to do that. I can import another story and link them together. And as you can start to see, if I wanted to start doing like sprint planning that's more visually, this is one way to do it. I can create columns and people can comment on things and people can link these together. So if I needed to see the order of operations of how work is supposed to flow, I can link this together and bring them in. I have the option to essentially bring in as many stories as I want, right? I can do the JQL, I can do the searches, and this is going to go and search all that work. I can, if I didn't want to do one by one, I can select all the work items and bring them all in. They all come in and I can have duplicates of them, right? So I have duplicates here, so be careful with that. But the cool thing is that you can basically connect them together and you can go, okay, this one is dependent on this one, and I need another circle. Come on. There you go. And dependent on this one. So you can start to visually see the order of operations. And you're like, okay, so team, we clearly need to do this first, then this, then this, then this, and this, and this. Okay. Awesome, right? It gets better. Right? Because as you can see here, this right eye of my little meme thingy is not a story. But let's just say this was something very important, right? Very, very important. Okay, very important. And these are connected, right? We have a connection between this pink, purple, pinkish square and my Jira work item. So what happens if we wanted this to become a Jira work item, right? Well, traditionally you'd go to Jira, you'd make a new story, and then you'd bring it in just the way I showed you, right? But that sucks because that changes our context, right? Like we now have to leave Jira, or sorry, now we need to leave Confluence, go into Jira, interrupt our train of thought. And it's very disruptive. Our context is very, very important. Magenta is the color I'm thinking of apparently. Magenta. All right. Colors aside, because I stick to the original 16 Crayolas and 8-bit or 16-bit colors. Click on the square, and then we're going to come over here and do this Jira integration, and we can create a Jira work item. And then it's going to ask us, well, where do you want to put this thing at, right? So I'm like, well, this is going to go into my legal team. It's going to be a task. I can assign it to myself if I want to, but I can hit create. And just like that, that square now became a work item, which is now inside of Jira, right? So now I can go to Jira and Leo 56 is going to exist, right? And this is now a thing that I can plan into my sprint. I can add more context. I can add more fields. I can do whatever I want to do it with here, right? But I can now manipulate this the way I need to do it in Jira, but I have it visually over here inside of Confluence, inside the whiteboard. And so this, my friends, is very, very powerful, right? Because you can take a drawing that your team's created, right, with stickies and squares and circles and diamonds, and like you're doing all this collaboration, and you're just in the heat of the moment having these great aha moments of like, this is what we want to build, and this is what our requirements are going to look like, and this is how things are going to be interconnected, and here's the dependencies. And you can have these brainstorming sessions that are really, really awesome because whiteboards are live, they're not published, there's no delay. Like 20 people can swarm in this, right? I can give this link to you all right here, and I can, well, let me give it to Rodney, who's, I believe, in the background here. I don't know how do I get to this private comments? Here we go, private chat. I can give this link to Rodney, who might have access to my whiteboard, and we'll see if he's actually able to join, if he's paying attention, because he's trolling me with magenta. So I mean, he might be paying attention, but if I give it to people, right, most people can be in here swarming and collaborating and coming up with the next great billion-dollar idea for your company. And then when you're ready to put it all into Jira, you start right-clicking and making the Jira work items from within this view. You don't have to lose that context. You don't have to lose your momentum and your train of thought. And I think this is a very, very powerful feature that's built into Jira here. So we'll see if Ronnie joins us in the next minute. Otherwise, what we're going to do is we're going to move over to plans and then gadgets, and then we're going to be basically at time. I do want to remind you, I have some special offers here, some links, so stick around for a few more minutes. We're going to give you some cool things here. So let's go back to our demo with Connie. And what I'm going to show you next is how to embed your plans, because oftentimes when we're working in Jira, we create a lot of strategy in Jira, but you can't add a lot of context. The description field inside of Jira is okay. It's not the best, but it's okay. But Confluence really allows you to build like this aggregate view of all the important things inside of whatever requirements page you're creating, right? And so inside of Jira, we have this concept of a plan. So let me see. I have a marketing plan here, right? And so when I go to my marketing plan, skip, I already know how to use it. There's a share button inside of Confluence, and there's a share. You want to share it, export. Here we go. No, iframe, maybe not. What happened to my link? Okay, maybe it's smart enough to just do it now without anything else. But if I copy a link to my plan and I go to Confluence, where again, I'm going to have a lot more context. As you can see, my entire plan, because it's a smart link, none of my access. Okay. Sorry, Rodney. Or sorry, folks. I guess I needed to add Rodney to my Atlassian one. Next time. Okay. But as you can see here, I'm able to take the entire plan, right? So this is my timeline. Here's the expansion inside of Jira. I can expand the epics to show all the stories. But I can do the same thing inside of Confluence. So if I'm creating like this roadmap, right, instead of doing this very static roadmap, I can go and start building everything inside of Jira and then bring it into Confluence, because now in here, I can add context, right? I can say, well, here's the department that we're doing, here's the campaign, here's the link to the other pages, right? And now all of a sudden, you got a lot of things that can be interoperably connected and work really, really well together, right? And so this is really powerful to be able to embed your Confluence plans. You can see it in the timeline view. So if you wanted to see all those dependencies, right, depends on how big your monitors are. You might need bigger monitors. But you can see all the dates, all the fields, and basically you can add the fields. So it's like basically like being inside the plans, but without having to leave Confluence. So again, you can preserve that context, because context preservation is so important and so critical when you're in the heat of that moment creating something awesome. Okay. Now I'm going to show you one last thing. I want to show you how to add gadgets. So this is going to be another cool little thing. This was more of a gimmicking. I think this one's on the way out. But if I go again back inside of my Jira and if I do Jira, you're gonna see Jira charts. And so if I do Jira charts, you can't do a whole lot. I'm going to show you a couple different ones that are available, but you can do like the pie chart, right? So if you wanted to bring in a JQL, I'm just going to do like project equals, oh boy, insert any Jira. Can I? Okay, so I need to do a filter. Oh no, I can do a filter. Okay. I just need to know the name of a project. What's the name of this legal team one? What is Leo? Okay. Right. So if I do this, I can basically bring in all the work for Leo, and I can insert here. I have some display options, so I can chart by the assignees if I wanted to, right? and I can hit insert. And so the dashboards that you would normally create inside of Jira, you can just create them inside of Confluence too. So again, you're bringing in one holistic page that has your plans, that has your whiteboards, that has databases, right? It has your requirements, it has all your test cases. You can start to see how you can start stringing together all the different moving parts that make a product come to life. And so instead of having everything so scattered and your mind just like being everywhere, you can centralize all your communication with Confluence and by using Jira and Confluence together, which is very, 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 very powerful ways of doing work here. And so those are one of the examples here. I'm going to do, as you can see, we have the charts, right? So you're limited to the creative, resolved, and the two-dimensional. But if you come up here to the plus button and you go to view more, we do have where is it at? External content. Yeah, external content. And so here you could basically bring in all the rest of the gadgets that you would normally have inside of the dashboard. So this is all the natural stuff. This is all the native stuff. So my issue statistics, especially if you guys attended yesterday's session where we talked about dashboards and reports inside of Jira. Well, I can just bring in my issue statistics over here. I can select the filter just the way we did last time, like all from yesterday, right? So I can look for all open work. Here it is, all open work. This is the same filter I was using yesterday, and I can click on save. And this now becomes an embedded filter that hopefully shows me something. I might have to publish this page. We'll see, might not work. Definitely not working. These things are going away, folks, by the way. Like I would suspect that Atlassian's going to do some cleanup. Like these are old, like these have been around for many, many, many years. And so yeah, I would suspect that some of this stuff might be going away. Okay, Stefan asks, when you stay in Confluence only with the Confluence license, if you want to see all the Jira content. So the way Jira works is you need a license and access to see all Jira data. So in this particular example, and I should have probably led with this as my disclaimer, but you do need to have the license. You need to be licensed in both Jira and Confluence to be able to do the full experience. If you are not licensed inside of Confluence, if you are not licensed inside of Jira, you're going to see Confluence, but Confluence is going to be very, very empty for you because Jira is going to require the license, and you also need to have access to the projects and the spaces that have the actual work items inside of them. So if you don't have that information or you don't have that access, you're going to be unpleasantly sad. Okay, folks, that pretty much brings me up. I was able to show you everything I need to. As a gentle reminder, and as our exclusive offers here, just stick around me for another second. I launched a school community with Josh Golonsinski, and we have a really, really cool place for you to come in and hang out, ask questions. We are curating all this content. We do a lot of stuff in the school community, and I'm putting like every egg in this basket. So definitely check that out. A few months ago, about 6 months ago, I made a Jira course on Jira and Agile. So if you're interested in that, we have the $10 here for the next 5 days or 4 days now. So grab it the rest of this week. It's a little Black Friday special. It's $9.99 for the next 5 days. But if you're looking to learn something over the holidays here, I'll definitely take advantage of that. And then I'm giving away my original Jira Fundamentals course. If you're interested in that one, that's going to be going. I'm going to retire the current one. I'm going to revamp it with the new UI and the new concepts. And so definitely buy it or get it now that it's free, because it's just going to I'm going to update all the material. So next year you'll get the new version of it, but you can get it for free right now. So definitely don't sleep on it and get it now. Am I going to be putting the ABS talks in the school group? So all the ABS talks are in the school group. So if you attended the Atlassian Builder Summit, there's a special school community that's just for you, where you can get all of the big book of Atlassian, and you can get access to all the sessions, and that's completely free if you attended Atlassian Builder Summit. But if you didn't get a chance to attend Builder Summit and you want to access and view the big book of Atlassian and all the sessions, we do have, again, inside of our Atlassian Everything, we have our Builder Summit. And so you can see things like the admin keynote. We have this, by the way, was one of the best keynotes that anybody has ever seen. And so just watching this, like, what does it mean to be the next generation of Jira administrator? Worth its weight in gold. My good friend Josh Costella made that presentation. We have a presentation from, let me see if I can find our very own Ronnie, the Jira guy here, made a presentation on following the happy path, building workflows that work for your teams. And so if you're interested in that stuff, it's all in there as well. Not that anyone here would appear on that list. Yeah. What the Atlassian Builder Summit was is a 3-day conference, 26 sessions. We brought the best of the best in the Atlassian ecosystem to do these presentations, and they're all on here. And so if you wanted to get access to that, they're on here. Josh does his assets mastery. I have my Learn Jiras. I have a bunch of courses that I'm working on right now. We have a chat so that we actually go in and answer, so you can see every single one of these gets answered. We have newer ones that came in overnight that I got to go answer today. But yeah, we have, and we also have a live session that we do once a week. And so you can come in, ask your questions, interact. We get philosophical sometimes. It's a lot of fun. But if you're looking for a paid community, we're trying to hit 100 members before the end of the year. So definitely jump in, join us, and be a part of something pretty cool. It's really, really awesome here. So yeah, and then the last thing is going to be, we have one more day. Tomorrow we're going to cover Excel with Jira and Google Sheets. So if you're interested in that, we're going to do our very, very last session of this series of getting started with Jira. Next week, I'm going to go to the Jira administrator ones, and I have a very special session next week on how to use all the Atlassian tools from Jira Product Discovery through basically almost everything inside of this, like Atlassian for Startups. And I'm going to show you with real world examples how all the tools work together. So if you enjoyed this course, it's just a little teaser. This was just Confluence and Jira. Now imagine what you can do with the rest of the Atlassian cloud products. So we're going to be covering that next Tuesday. So I'm going to drop here a link to our community list, and it's called the No Fluff Guide to Atlassian for Startups or something like that. So definitely check that one out. And then finally, if you take anything away from this, just connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always very, very active on LinkedIn. So if you just want to connect, send me a connection request, become a member. I just have so much going on in our lives here. We are going to be doing like in-person boot camps in 2026 as well. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Would you be covering Rovo? So Rovo's coming. I'm waiting for Rovo to work. In my opinion, Rovo does not work yet. And so I don't want to create material that I'm just going to have to redo in 6 months when the last thing gets around to it. But Rovo is a huge demand, and I'm just waiting for it to actually work. There will be a revamp, a version 2 of the Big Book of Atlassian, and that one's going to include a whole section on Rovo. Again, I'm just waiting for it to actually work, because as it stands right now, Rovo's hit or miss. And so I'm not ready to put those eggs in that basket. But yeah, take me up on those offers. I'll see you in the school community. Get the free courses. They're all out there available right now. Discounted. One of them is discounted for the next 5 days. The other one's completely free for the next 5 days. So definitely take advantage of that. And folks, with that, I got a meeting to run to in like a couple minutes. So thank you for being here. Subscribe to the channel. Go over to the Jira Life. Subscribe over there. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone. This is all, it'll be in the community link, and then it's in the channel here. So subscribe so you can, and go to the live section of the channel.